The strongest core I ever built came from 3 exercises rooted in the same principles that shaped Soviet physical culture: no equipment, no machine, no gym, just the floor and my own body weight. And they work for a reason that has almost nothing to do with how most people train abs. Here is the problem. The crunch trains spinal flexion through a short range your spine barely uses in real life, the same few degrees, hundreds of times, called a workout. But your abdominals were not built to curl. They were built to resist, to brace, and to stop your spine from bending, arching, and twisting under load. That is the actual job, and it is the one Soviet physical culture understood far better than most modern gym training. Their system was mass calisthenics. No equipment, no vanity, built around what the body could do rather than how it looked. Movement you could perform anywhere, with nothing, and repeat for years. The physiques came as a byproduct of a core that could hold a position under stress. That is the logic these 3 exercises run on. So we train the core the way it is built to operate. 3 exercises, 3 regions. Your rectus abdominis, the visible six-pack, flexes your torso and runs down the front. The deep stabilizers beneath it brace against extension, keeping your spine rigid when something pulls it out of line. And your obliques, on the sides, rotate your torso and resist rotation, carving the lines that make a core look complete. Train only the front, and you build a core that looks flat and performs weak. We hit all 3 in order, and one of them is a movement you have almost certainly done before, but never done correctly. Exercise 1. The hollow body hold. This is the foundation, and the one most people have never performed correctly. It trains the entire anterior core as a single unit, the rectus abdominis, and every deep stabilizer beneath it under continuous isometric tension. No reps, no swinging. Just a position held under load until the muscle has no choice but to work. This is the Soviet principle in its purest form. No equipment, nowhere to hide, nothing between you and your own body weight. Either the core holds the line or it does not. Here is the mechanism. Lying on your back, you lift your shoulders and legs off the floor while pressing your lower back flat into the ground. That flattening is the entire point. It forces a posterior pelvic tilt and pulls your ribs down toward your hips, which recruits the deep core to resist your spine's natural pull into extension. Nothing moves. Everything fires. Set up. Lie flat. Press your lower back into the floor until there is no gap beneath it at all. Now lift your shoulder blades just off the ground and raise your legs until your whole body forms one long, shallow curve like a banana balanced on its middle. Reach your arms overhead or keep them at your sides, whichever you can control. Breathe in a slow, shallow rhythm through the hold. Do not hold your breath, because a braced core still has to breathe. The failure point is always the lower back. The moment your abs fatigue, your pelvis tips forward and a gap opens under your spine. That gap is the exercise ending. Whether you notice it or not, it means your hip flexors have taken over and your core has quit. If the gap opens, bend your knees or raise your legs higher toward the ceiling until it closes. A flat back is the exercise. Lose it, and you are just lying on the floor being tired. Hold for 3 sets of 20 to 30 seconds. When that becomes controllable, extend the hold to 45 seconds. Then lower your arms and legs closer to the floor. The flatter and longer your body, the greater the leverage against your core, and the harder every second loads. This is where the discipline lives, not in adding weight you do not have, but in lengthening the lever until your own body is heavy enough. Exercise 2. Lying leg lowers. The hollow hold teaches your core to brace in place. This teaches it to brace while your legs move exactly where the lower abs live, and exactly where most people are weakest. It trains the lower portion of the rectus abdominis and the deep stabilizers that control your pelvis, and it exposes a weak core within about 4 reps. The mechanism is anti-extension under a lengthening load. As your legs lower toward the floor, gravity tries to drag your pelvis into a forward tilt and arch your lower back off the ground. Your lower abs fire to resist that pull and keep the spine pinned. The closer your legs travel to the floor, the longer the lever arm becomes, and the harder your core has to work to hold the line. You are not lowering your legs, you are resisting them lowering. That distinction is the entire exercise. Set up. Lie on your back, legs straight and pointed at the ceiling. Press your lower back into the floor, the same flat spine you built in the hollow hold. Lower both legs slowly toward the ground, knees straight, until you feel your lower back begin to lift. Stop there, that is your range. Raise the legs back to vertical under control. That is 1 rep. The failure point is identical to exercise 1, and it is the reason most people get nothing from leg raises, the lower back arches. The instant your spine peels off the floor, you have handed the work to your hip flexors and taken it away from your abs entirely. Only lower as far as you can while keeping your back pinned down. A shorter range with a flat spine beats a full range with an arch every single time. Go for 3 sets of 8 to 12 slow reps. Take 3 seconds to lower, 1 second to raise. The descent is where the muscle earns its keep. When you can control the full range to just above the floor without your back lifting, add a 2-second pause at the bottom of every rep, or lower 1 leg at a time under a longer count. Notice the pattern. No weight added, just leverage and tempo. That is how a system with no equipment keeps getting harder for years. Quick note before the 3rd exercise. If this system is already exposing gaps in your core, subscribe. This channel is built on training the body as a system. Mechanism first, hype never. Now, the obliques. Exercise 3, Windshield Wipers. This is the rotational piece, and the one that separates a complete core from a merely flat one. It trains the internal and external obliques through controlled rotation, and just as importantly, through resisting rotation on the return. Most people never load their obliques through a genuine range, which is precisely why their core looks unfinished from the side, no matter how many crunches they grind out. The mechanism is rotation under tension in both directions. With your legs raised and your upper back anchored, you rotate your lower body side to side. Lowering toward one side loads the obliques on that side as they lengthen under control. Bringing the legs back through center loads them again as they shorten and stabilize. Rotation out, resistance back. Neither half of the movement is a rest. Setup. Lie on your back with your arms out wide, palms and shoulders pressed firmly into the floor to build a stable base. Raise your legs toward the ceiling, keeping both shoulders pinned to the ground. Rotate your legs slowly to one side. Stop before they touch the floor, then bring them back through center and over to the other side. Move like a windshield wiper, even, deliberate, and controlled from edge to edge. The failure point is speed and the shoulders. Swing your legs fast, and momentum does the work while your obliques switch off. Let a shoulder peel off the floor as your legs drop, and you lose the anchor that forces the rotation to load your core instead of your lower spine. Keep both shoulders flat and move slowly enough that you feel the sides of your waist controlling every inch of the arc. Start with bent knees to shorten the lever. 3 sets of 8 to 10 total rotations, 5 per side. When that becomes controlled, straighten your legs to lengthen the lever and load the obliques far harder. Slow is the entire exercise. The moment it turns into a swing, it turns into nothing. That is the full protocol. Hollow body hold for total anterior tension, leg lowers for the lower core and pelvic control, windshield wipers for the obliques. 3 exercises, 3 regions, 1 complete core, and not a single piece of equipment anywhere in it. Run them in that order, because each one builds the control the next one demands. The hold teaches you to brace, the lowers teach you to hold that brace against moving legs, and the wipers teach you to keep it through rotation. That progression is deliberate, not decorative. Now, the part almost every AB video leaves out. You can build the strongest, most complete core in the world, and if it sits under a layer of body fat, no one will ever see it. That is not a flaw in the training. It is simple anatomy. Abdominal muscle is built by tension and revealed by leanness. 2 entirely separate processes that people constantly confuse for one. It is why 2 men can carry identically strong cores, while only one shows a visible six-pack. The muscle is there in both. The only difference is the fat covering it, and there is no exercise that strips fat from your stomach specifically. Spot reduction does not exist. The body pulls fat from across your whole frame as you lose it, never from wherever you happen to be training. So visible abs come from a small, sustained calorie deficit, enough protein to hold onto the muscle while you lean out, and consistency held long. Enough to matter. Build the core with these 3 movements. Reveal it in the kitchen. Both jobs are non-negotiable, and neither one will ever do the other's work for you. So here is the routine. These 3 exercises, 2 to 3 times per week, with a recovery day between sessions. Run them in order and treat every session as the same 3 movements done a little better than last time. That repeatability is the point, not variety for its own sake. Every rep, keep your attention on the flat lower back, the slow tempo, and the failure points, because one clean rep of any of these outworks 100 sloppy ones. Each week, add a few seconds to your holds, a rep or two to your sets, or a little more length to the lever. That is the entire progression. Nothing else to buy, nothing else to overthink. Train the core the way it was built to work, to brace, to resist, to control, and it gets strong in a way crunches were never going to deliver. The Soviets understood something modern training keeps forgetting. The body is a system, and a system needs no equipment to be trained hard. Give it tension, discipline, and time, and it holds up its end. Train the system correctly, and the results take care of themselves.